The new Warlock aspect is absolutely crazy when it comes to generating Threadlings, and the uptime that you can get on it is amazing. Combining that with some other elements and a really cool exotic pairing as well means that we're going to have the ultimate minion master when it comes to generating Threadlings and having a really fun Strand build. So let's jump into it, talk about the build itself and how you actually play it and how you get hold of the new aspect and all that stuff. So let's jump in. So let's run through the Broodweaver subclass, and most importantly, let's go through the Weave Walk. The Weave Walk is the new aspect for this season. If you want to know how to get your hands on it, you're going to need to go to Neomuna if you have obviously Lightfall, and then you're going to want to go and see Nimbus. They have the Veil Containment. If you haven't done it, all you have to do is load into this area down here, press E and listen. You don't have to listen to all the dialogue until the quest goes away that's on your screen, and then you go back to the area where you get yourself this, which is the Puka Pond, to get yourself the aspect. So the way that the aspect actually works is when you're in the air, you press your dodge button, and what it will do is it will put you into like a weave form, and then you'll also get your Threadlings that perch. It goes all the way up to 5 Threadlings, and you can also activate it again to come out of the weave, or you can use your rift. So for example here, what you do, you jump in the air, you press dodge, and you see it will fill up on this left hand side, and then you press it again to come out of it. Or what you can do is, if you have your melee charges, you can go into this weave form and let the melee charge fully play all the way out, so you have a bunch of damage resistance. And the cool thing about this build, or just in general when it comes to the how the aspect works, is when you're in that form, enemies don't target you. I'll give you a little bit of example. So here's an example of me going into the weave. Everyone is currently, they're all targeting me, shooting at me, and then you go into the weave and you can just go around and they don't target you at all. So this is going to be crazy for if you get into a situation where you need to get out of jail, essentially. Because if this is a bug, hopefully it isn't. And it will be pretty darn good for being able to get out of certain situations. For the rest of the build, let's talk about the first aspect that we're using alongside this, which is Weaver's Call. You get 3 extra Threadlings whenever you use this. Combine that with Weave Walk's 5 and also the 3 that you get from Threadling Grenade, you're going to have 11 Threadlings without even popping your Needle Storm. And if you pop that as well alongside everything, you're going to have a recipe for minion-based Threadling success. And then this is why I recommend going with this over any of the other aspects. For the first fragment, we have Thread of Evolution. Threadlings travel further and farther and deal additional damage. We have picking up an Orb of Power grants you Woven Mail in Thread of Warding. This is very good. Damage reduction. Thread of Generation. Dealing damage generates grenade energy, which is going to be very good for helping us get our Threadling Grenade back. You could swap this out if you really wanted to and go with potentially Thread of Fury for damaging targets with a Tangle, against you melee energy. Or if you really want to go even crazier, there's a finisher one, which is here. Thread of Finality. Finish your final blows, create Threadlings. It's entirely up to you. The number one thing that makes this build work, though, is Monte Carlo. The reason why is because when we do damage with this, we're able to, generate ammo as well, increase the damage from melee kills and kills with this weapon, essentially, which is the Markov chain. And then also on top of that, you're able to fully recharge or reduce the cooldown of your melee, which is awesome because we also have a catalyst for this season, which means this blade can be used, which is very, very good. And on top of that, if you go to the tower right now, if you're a newer player and you haven't got the weapon yet, you can go and do the timeline reflection and get yourself a Monte Carlo to be able to make this build work. So it's super accessible when it comes to using it. So essentially you'll use the Monte Carlo to regen back your melees to be able to use your Weave Walk, and that's kind of how the build goes. For extra weapons that you can go with a fusion rifle, so you have unstoppable, and then eventually when you unlock the overload machine guns, you can use that there as well of any machine gun. I'm just going with a Strand one here because I like using the circular logic, and then you're covering all of the barrier bases and also unstoppable and overload. As for the exotic armor, we are going to be using Swarmers. Destroying a tangle spawns a Threadling. Your Threadlings unravel the targets that they damage. This is just the best combo for that. It means that you're going to be able to create even more whenever you kill tangles to create Threadlings, and it's super great for this build. So let's talk about the actual mods, because this is going to be the key element of the build. To start off with, I have heavy ammo finder, then ashes to assets here. You could drop the heavy ammo finder if you really wanted to, which I'll probably end up doing. It's just a different variation, and go with 2 ashes to assets. And then on your gauntlets, we have bolstering detonation, which allows us to get our class ability back, and with our grenade energy, which is very, or we use our grenade, we get our class ability back. Then also firepower to create more orbs of power, and then grenade kickstart to focus and get our grenade back, because we don't have to worry about our melee. We don't have to worry too much about our rift. We're mainly focusing on getting our grenade back to be able to use as many Threadling grenades as possible. Double charged up here because it increases the maximum number of stacks of an armor charge you can carry by 1. So this puts it up to 5. And then on top of that, we have stacks on stacks, which allows us to pick up an additional armor charge every time we pick up an orb of power. I haven't got anything extra here. And then I have insulation, which is reduces your class ability cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power. And then innovation reduces your cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power as well. And then lastly, I have outreach. And then also on here, you could actually swap this out if you wanted to go with bomber. The reason why I have this on here is it's just extra ways to be able to get back full charges as quick as possible for your melee. And I have Reaper as well. If you really wanted to, you could go with powerful attraction to be able to make sure you have maximum uptime on your abilities, i.e. your grenade. I don't use utility kickstart here because I don't think it's as useful. So the main core loop of the build, and I'll talk about it a little bit more in depth in just a moment, is you'll go into an encounter. As you can see, I've got 4 Threadlings on me right now. Pop off my riff, and then I'm going to be able to run and get myself into this specific form, the weave walk form, get my Threadlings, leave that form, and then use my Monte Carlo to get back the extra weave form. And then I've consistently got 5 of these Threadlings at once, and all you have to do is a little hop into the air, throw out your nades, throw out everything else. So yes, I am going up against a bunch of red bars here, but this is going to be very, very good for very ad dense things, and I do think it was going to also be very good when we go into some endgame content as well. This aspect is by far way and above better than last season's aspect by, you know, a country mile, and the synergy that it has, being able to you don't have to consume your grenade, which is very good. And if you wanted to, you could actually drop the Threadling grenade and go with a suspension grenade to be able to have even more control, because then it puts targets there available for you, for your Threadlings to be able to go and easily destroy, to make tangles. And then also going into that, when you've created a tangle, you can then also use some of the seasonal artifacts later on. And all of this build, all of the elements of this are using no seasonal artifact mods, because I made this build literally day 1, a few hours into the season, and it's very easy to make. So go out there and make it. Definitely recommend trying this out. I'm going to try this out in some endgame stuff eventually. And yeah, really want to make this build and get it out as soon as possible, because it's goddamn awesome. And as always, if this has been helpful, leave a like on it, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell as always. And this has been Jimbo, and I'll see you guys next time.